Hello, people of Earth, and welcome to Peace News. We are live, broadcasting from Keene in the Shire, and welcome back. We were away for a week. I went to Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, and had a wonderful time making connections, meeting up with some old friends, chatting with the anarchist crew that's down there. Yes, they exist. Hopefully they move to Keene, New Hampshire soon. That's where I'm broadcasting. Here in the Shire, we are live this Tuesday, September 2nd, 2014. And I really missed this show. You know, it's always important to talk about what stories are featuring peaceful resistors, the people who have the courage to say no to the authorities. I was just at an arraignment for my friend James Robin Hood Cleveland earlier this morning, and here in Keene District Court, he pled not guilty to the charges of 2 charges for disorderly conduct and 1 charge of resisting arrest. So that what happened was he was at a scene where an active shooter was threatening to kill himself. The police were on the scene with their Bearcats and riot gear. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. And he was video recording as a member of the media. An officer said, "No, stand back, son." And he stood back and was in a zone that he thought was, where the police wanted him. And then another police officer said, "You're under arrest for being in our little zone area." So there's lawlessness when there are leaders, right? They're not leaders. There are no rules when there are rulers, as Stefan Molyneux says. So welcome. This is Peace News. We do this show twice a week at PeaceNewsNow.com, where you can go there now and find other listeners who are chatting in the chat room. We've also got a webcam for you, which you can watch either on YouTube or at derekj.me, or of course at PeaceNewsNow.com/live. And this show is brought to you by you, the listeners. So if you are enjoying what you're seeing, head on over to PeaceNewsNow.com/donate and chip in some Bitcoin. So we just mentioned James Cleveland. He is a courageous activist here in Keene in the Shire, where he's been ramping up the Robin Hood effort. But also, James Cleveland was recently announced as the Keynote convention speaker at Keenevention. So it's very exciting. That'll be happening October 31st, November 1st, and 2nd. Woo! I am thrilled because I am helping to put on a Halloween-themed dance party that's going to be great. We don't have everything in order yet, but I just know that there's going to be a lot of great people there who are going to be looking for some fun, something cool to happen on a Friday night. Hey, when all the speeches are over, we want to kick back and have a good time. So let's do that together. Plus, James Cleveland will be the keynote speaker. This from freekeene.com, where Ian Freeman writes a few days ago, quote, "On the scale of press coverage for the Liberty Movement in New Hampshire, Robin Hooding is an 11 out of 10. The ridiculous lawsuits filed in 2013 by the people calling themselves the City of Keene exploded into international press coverage, unlike anything we've ever seen. James Cleveland is Robin Hood of Keene and has done an amazing job with the help of his merry men and women and has rescued thousands of motorists from the King's Tariff. He handily won 2013's Keene Activist of the Year by popular vote. James is a tireless and dedicated activist who puts his money where his mouth is. I'm excited to announce that he'll be the keynote speaker for Keenevention 2014. At last year's Keenevention, James led the direct action panel. And you can watch that in full from a link at freekeene.com. Don't miss Keenevention 2014. Tickets are available now for $60 USD or BTC. That's Bitcoin. Pre-event ticketing is limited to just 100, so don't wait until just the day of to buy when the price goes up. More panel and speaker announcements are to come, but here is the current list of growing speakers and panels for 2014. Stay tuned to the Keenevention blog, the Keenevention Facebook page, and the Facebook event for the latest. You can find all of that at freekeene.com. So let's continue. That's just a little public service announcement, because I will be at Keenevention. It's going to be a great time. If you're into activism and peaceful resistance, don't miss it. This is where people go to do liberty activism right now. Throughout the span of human history, people have gone different places, Ireland or the New World. Well, this is where it's happening in 2014. People are coming to New Hampshire, specifically Keene. If you're a hardcore civ dis activist, come here, join us. There's plenty of newsmakers here in Keene. Or if you're a liberty media person and you produce a podcast or a video show, there's Cheshire TV, and it's easy to get signed up so you can put your own shows on the air right here in your own town. Very cool. I want you to be a part of it. Come and join us. freestateproject.org and keenevention.info. All right, let's get into some more resistance news. This is important, not so much peaceful resistance, but just important to know about. If you're a news-following person, you may not have heard that there was another beheading. This from thetelegraph.co.uk. Stephen Sotloff beheaded by Islamic State. Here's the latest. Here's a clip from the Telegraph. Take a listen. Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, or ISIL, has released a video appearing to show the beheading of U.S. hostage Stephen Sotloff. This is an edited version featuring a message from his, quote, British captor. Let's take a look.
I'm back, Obama, and I'm back because of your arrogant foreign policy towards the Islamic State, because of your insistence in continuing your bombings in Al-Mali, Zamar, and the Mosul Dam, despite our serious warnings. You, Obama, have yet again, through your actions, killed yet another American citizen. So just as your missiles continue to strike our people, our knife will continue to strike the necks of your people.
Yikes. I don't like the sound of that, and I don't consider myself one of Obama's people, so I don't know what Stephen Sotloff thinks or what gosh, I've forgotten the name, how terrible, James Foley, the other beheaded man, an American journalist, did they even consider themselves Americans or one of Obama's people? I mean, they probably disagree with what Obama does. If they're like most Americans, they're either not aware or don't condone what the American military does overseas. So this hostage policy, I don't know that it's going to get a lot of Americans riled up. It's not like they've already got a bunch of support behind the president. At least that's not my experience, although I admittedly come from a tainted worldview. So what information can we glean from this horrific message? Well, when I don't want to watch the video, I don't want to see any more beheadings, but if it's anything like the last one, it's questionable whether or not these beheadings are totally legitimate. Some people are claiming that they are not, and these are, the quote-unquote experts. So here's what we know so far. On August 24th, the British ambassador to Washington, Peter Westcott, said the UK was very close to identifying the British-accented killer of James Foley. More than a week later, there's been no public update on the hunt named for the man nicknamed Jihadi John. And then the video of Stephen Sotloff's apparent murder appears to have been found by private U.S. intelligence firms before it could be released by the Islamic State. News of Mr. Sotloff's death was broken by the Sept Intelligence Group, a private company that monitors jihadist activity and has close ties to the American intelligence community. The group's analysis found the video on what a spokesman described as a file-sharing site and sent it out to its subscriber list. Site subscribers include government officials, journalists, and academics involved in analyzing terrorism. I wonder how you get on that list. Well, you can compare that to the choreographed release of the video showing the murder of James Foley, which was released on YouTube and then pushed out by ISIS by all its accounts. Very interesting what's going on in the world these days. Well, we'll be back with more peace news on the other end of this trip to the market.
On LRN.FM, we talk a lot about alternative currencies. Did you know that now you can buy gold, silver, and other precious metals with bitcoins? LRN.FM has partnered with Amaji Metals to bring you great prices on beautiful .999 fine silver, as well as gold, platinum, and other metals. Check out their selection and pay with bitcoins or Federal Reserve notes at metal.lrn.fm. That's metal.lrn.fm.
The warning signs.
At first, he made me feel special. He promised he'd look after me, provide for my future. He broke every promise he made.
Millions of Americans afflicted.
I was ready to leave, but he told me he'd change. So I gave him another chance. I was such a fool.
The consequences.
Things only got worse. He started making my decisions for me. About my job, my kids' education, my money, my safety, my future. He took away my choices, but I kept going back to the same politicians.
The diagnosis? Battered voter syndrome.
I fell for the same old lies. They were just playing with my emotions, telling me what I wanted to hear. That's not right.
Stop the insanity of voting for the same old abusers. Declare your independence from the two-party system and join the New Hampshire Liberty Party today at nhliberty.info.
Did you know that you can listen to LRN.FM 24/7 via our free-to-air satellite channel? From Mexico to Canada, our signal covers nearly all of North America. All you need is a view of the southern sky, an affordable receiver, and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees. Learn more at sat.lrn.fm. Plus, if you're a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content. See our coverage map and get details at sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm.
If there was a place that liberty-minded people had been elected to political positions and were rolling back government, would you move there? If freedom lovers had secured a 20% voting bloc and can veto most bad bills, would you move? Well, the time has come to sign the pledge at freestateproject.org. These things have happened in New Hampshire, and you can join us and help. freestateproject.org. Sign up now at freestateproject.org. Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
The federal government would like to remind you that while some will tell you to think for yourself, this is not necessary as we have taken care of this for you. Simply pledge allegiance to those who keep you safe and avoid dangerous behavior, worst of which, questioning authority. How long do you want to live in blissful ignorance while each day the state assumes more power over you and your stuff? Do you remember signing off on that? Or do you accept it because it is what it is? I'm sure it feels real nice to tune out, hang out at the mall with your BFFs, and if you have a problem, just vote for the other power-hungry political party for your solutions. I don't have the luxury because one day I found something out. I own myself. And you know what useful thing is in there? My brain! The state can keep trying to tell you what to do from the barrel of a gun, but it's up to you to decide who controls your thoughts. Free your mind from the status quo. It's the first step towards reclaiming your liberty. Well, you got us there. Listen to Cody O'Connor's Off the Air Live every Thursday and Saturday night at 10 Eastern. It's dangerous, hilarious, and live on LRN.FM.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
Welcome back, suckers. This is Peace News, and we're talking about the important stuff, the peaceful resistance stuff. Hey, you know, I got a great story out of California where the city council ordered the police department to get rid of that MRAP. You've heard about these things, the MRAPs, the mobile resistance artillery, blah, blah, blah. I don't really know what they are. They look like tanks to me. Some people call them a Bearcat. Oh, yeah, that's what it is. Mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicle, an MRAP, because there are a bunch of mines in America, right? Weird. But here, the Davis City Council in California has told its police, get rid of it. It has 60 days to come up with a plan to get rid of its mine-resistant, ambush-protected vehicle after the city received pressure from local residents who feared the police are becoming too militarized. Is there such a thing? Let's be real. Take a listen to this clip from, I don't know what this is exactly. Who is this? WashingtonTimes.com. And, I don't know, looks like some local news story maybe out of Davis. Here we go. Give this a listen.
Week after an armored vehicle rolled into the city of Davis, some have been up in arms tonight. They want that thing rolled right back out.
It encourages the police to overreact to things like, as we saw in Ferguson.
Well, it looks like they got their wish. A big crowd showed up tonight at the Davis City Council meeting. They were protesting the police department's new crime-fighting tool.
And new tonight, CBS 13's Kelly Ryan is live in Davis. Now, Kelly, the chief of police was saying that it should stay, but we're just getting word from your counterparts inside that meeting room. We have a crew in there that say that now the vote has been that they're going to get rid of this thing.
That's right. They just adopted a motion, as people are streaming out here now. They just adopted a motion that said within 60 days they will get rid of that vehicle. Now this, after a huge crowd showed up saying they want the vehicle out of the city.
I do not suggest that you take this vehicle and send it out of Davis. I demand it. I demand it!
Dressed in a Tank the Tank t-shirt, this Davis neighbor was part of a large crowd protesting at city council chambers. They are against the Davis Police Department's newest crime-fighting tool, a mine-resistant, ambush-protected vehicle.
And as a taxpayer, I do not relish the idea of my money supporting the militarization of our police force.
The vehicle, worth nearly $700,000, didn't cost the Davis Police Department a dime. It was acquired through a federal government surplus military program.
It always
for
is.
This armored vehicle is primarily designed to be a way to make citizens and police officers safe.
Davis Chief of Police Landy Black made the department's case for the purchase, showing high-powered weapons his officers have confiscated this year.
Yeah, I wonder how safe the people of Ferguson are feeling when they see that MRAP rolling in the streets.
Concern from protesters is that this vehicle would be used to quash peaceful protests and demonstrations.
No, it's never been used to do that.
Some suggested other uses for it.
Since you can't give the vehicle back, is to repurpose it for fire. I mean, it even has a turret. You can put a water cannon on it.
Others argued the vehicle changes the image of a peaceful city with a giant military tank rolling down the streets. The chief promised specific guidelines for its use and said, like many police forces who now have these armored vehicles, it's a necessary piece of safety equipment.
And we have enjoy a very high quality of life. Nonetheless, this is the real world intrudes upon us from time to time.
Hey, well, the police say it's necessary. Are you going to argue with the police?
Again, just a few minutes ago, the City Council adopted a resolution to come up with a plan to get rid of the vehicle. Now, there is already a petition started. It has 271 signatures, and those protesters say they will pressure the City Council to actually do something in the next 60 days and not just talk about it.
Do something, yeah, or else what?
They say they want the vehicle destroyed or disposed of.
Oh, that's interesting. And we can anticipate that in the future, when they do new acquisitions, they will probably go about it differently, the police force will.
Oh, yes, they'll probably go about it differently, maybe a little more secretly. What do you think? Well, this is a very interesting story. To me, I'm fascinated that the community had this kind of reaction. Of course, you can expect something like, what is this, out of California? Yeah, okay, Davis City Council out of California. Good for you, California, for being a little more aware times than the rest of America. You know, here in Keene, New Hampshire, there was a lot of resistance to the Bearcat back in 2011 when our local police department acquired one from the Department of Homeland Security. Wait, let me try that again. The Department of Homeland Security. Yes, so Homeland Security should remind you of the Nazis' Fatherland Protection SS. These people are an agency that is about bringing, I don't know, like authoritarian military-style control over the entire population of the United States. And it's concerning to me. I don't want feds using guns and tanks to suppress a population to gain compliance, right, through force and guns. This is not the kind of community that I want to encourage or be a part of, so I don't like it. Okay, but they're giving out a bunch of free tanks. They're giving out grants to local police departments saying, here's $300,000. Maybe you could go buy yourself, well, I don't know, this Lenco Bearcat. It costs $300,000. Isn't that convenient? Go get yourself one. And now there are like 300 of these things all across the country, at least, and more every day. I heard LA has like at least 3 just within that city, and probably more today. And then there are other vehicles and equipment that we don't even know about. I mean, this is the stuff that the community found out about it once it rolled in. This was Keene saying, before the machine even rolled in, there were so many people in opposition to the Bearcat here in Keene that the fire marshal had to come down to City Hall and regulate attendance in person by counting how many people were allowed in the room. It was that packed. And all the people were saying they were against it. The only people who were for it, you can guess, they were law enforcement, or they worked for the city, or they were retired law enforcement. Those 3 groups are the people who said, yeah, we want a tank. We don't care what it's for. We just want one, because it's free. And we don't have to pay for it. So we could repurpose it, we could use it, we look like heroes. If we don't have one, then we're at a disadvantage. Everyone else is going to have one. We got to keep up with the Joneses. You don't think that governments play the same rule of keeping up with the Joneses as everyone else? They absolutely do. And if they can get free money to do it, well, then they're just further incentivized to get another tank. They'll get 10 more tanks. They'll get aerial raid gear. They'll get anything they can get their hands on if they think it will benefit them. And more equipment always benefits them. Oh yeah, you notice it's got a turret on there, right? That's for safety, isn't it? Yeah, I don't buy it. I think the turrets are used for shooting guns out of and for killing people. And what have we seen these MRAPs and Bearcats used for? Bearcat, by the way, is ballistic engineered armored response counter-attack truck. We don't need them. I don't want them. The people have spoken. We said, hey, I prefer an Andy Griffith cop, not a riot gear cop. One with more equipment on than a soldier in Afghanistan. Not the kind of world we want. All right, so good. We're seeing some peaceful resistance. You know what I'd like to see next? People give some teeth to that resistance. Say, no, I don't want this tank, and if you don't get rid of it within 60 days, I'm not paying your taxes anymore. We'll be right back.
Who did you let down today? Your wife? Your kids? Well, how about yourself? Take a look in the mirror. If you're tired of your drug and alcohol problem, you need to fix the problem, and right now, before you hurt or kill yourself, or worse yet, somebody else. Call the addiction specialist now at the Detox Treatment Helpline, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you have private insurance, we specialize in finding you the right treatment. When you call right now, you'll speak to a recovering addict who understands what you're going through right now. Let us help you break your addiction to drug and alcohol before it's too late. This call is completely confidential and free. So if you have private insurance, take 5 minutes of your time, call right now. I promise it'll change your life. 800-208-5187. 800-208-5187. 800-208-5187. Call right now. 800-208-5187.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Juicy Juice, 100% juice, providing a full serving of fruit in every 4 ounces. Visit us at juicyjuice.com. When it comes to nutrition, kids need both fruits and vegetables every day to stay healthy and grow. For the ideal mix, your kid should have at least 1.5 cups of any veggie or 100% veggie juice, and 1 cup of any fruit or 100% fruit juice a day. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Free Press Publications is an independent alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary at fpp.cc, as well as weekly news in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com. The monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc and books at shop.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
Now that you've found the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM, you may want to help expose others to our great programs. To assist you in doing so, you'll find resources at promote.lrn.fm, including details on how to get a free bumper sticker, quarter-page flyers you can print out and distribute, banners for your website, as well as files that will allow you to make your own custom banners and graphics. Visit promote.lrn.fm and help bring new listeners to the Liberty Radio Network. That's promote.lrn.fm.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. Find out about giving to our Google AdWords campaign at amp.freetalklive.com. That's amp.freetalklive.com.
You can interact with other LRN listeners on our message board at forum.lrn.fm. That's forum.lrn.fm.
Yeah, welcome back to Peace News. Hey, a listener commented while we were away saying, hey, isn't UC Davis the place where that cop pepper sprayed those protesting students? Oh, yeah. Yes, it is. So the city of Davis in California, they know a thing or two about police aggression, maybe police, what's that called, excessive force. Yeah, well, they know about that firsthand, and it looks like there's some pushback in this community. The California town ordered the police department to get rid of their MRAP vehicle. MRAP, again, stands for Mine Resistant Ambush Protected. Yeah. The Davis City Council in California told its police it has 60 days to come up with a plan to get rid of its mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicle. After the city received pressure from local residents who feared their police are becoming too militarized. The vehicle, worth nearly $700,000, was acquired by the Davis Police Department for free a few weeks ago through a U.S. military surplus program. Its arrival sparked immediate controversy within the community, bringing a large crowd to Tuesday night's city council meeting. Quote, I would like to say that I do not suggest you take this vehicle and send it out of Davis. I demand it. I demand it, shouted a man dressed in a Tank the Tank t-shirt. Our expression was thanks but no tanks. Quote, my understanding is that these vehicles were designed to help reduce casualties and fatalities among our military personnel in places like Iraq and Afghanistan, where they were being blown up by mines and being ambushed. I don't think these things are happening very often in Davis. That from one resident who spoke during the public forum. Oh, we've got another video from an NBC affiliate. Let's check this out.
That belongs in a war zone, but it can be found cruising Connecticut streets.
As Fox Connecticut's Bo Berman explains, that's because the Willimantic Police Department's new 21-ton truck is from a war zone.
Oh yeah, that's
new
great.
13-foot high ride tends to turn heads around town.
There's a lot of
what is that thing kind of a look. Again, this is mostly used in military applications overseas in the time of a war zone. So for people to see it driving down a residential street, they're really curious as to what is it and where did it come from.
It came from Iraq and Afghanistan, and it's called an MRAP, a mine-resistant, ambush-protected truck.
It is a truly multi-purpose vehicle.
The 22 feet long, $700,000 tank-like truck holds 2 in the front plus 8 to 10 officers in the back. It's now part of Willimantic's SOG, or Special Operations Group.
Okay, so really, you've taken a look at this thing. It's huge. It's a tank. And, no, of course it's not the tank like we're familiar with from World War II. Tanks have gotten a little more advanced since then. They have normal wheels. Of course, they still can't be shot out. You shoot at those wheels, they're completely resistant to that. The side armor can take a 50 cal bullet. This thing is a tank, and it's rolling down American streets. Of course, people are saying, "Oh, I'm turning my head. I'm saying, where did this come from? And what are you doing with it?"
In police work, you never know what's going to happen.
With air pressure doors and steel that's bulletproof up to 50 caliber, Willimantic police say this is more than just a new tool. It's a truck that will save lives.
Oh, it'll save lives. How's that? Is it going to be used in, let's jump into a burning building and rescue some kids? Yeah. No, that's not going to happen. It's going to be used for SWAT raids. Check out all the news reports. If these things are all over the country already. This is an article from Connecticut. This is a video from Connecticut. The one earlier we were talking about is in California. They're all over. Check your local police department. They probably have one of these things. And are they using it to save kids? No. They're using it to train their officers to do SWAT raids, to come into your home, to use the guns and the turrets and everything, the attachments that can pump gas into houses. That's to be used against you. So you are concerned about that? Maybe you should make some noise to your local city council or move to New Hampshire. Both good options. Let's continue this video.
If something were to go wrong and say someone were to start shooting at the police like what happened last summer.
In June 2013, Officer Kevin Winkler was shot in the arm during a routine well-being check, allegedly by 34-year-old Andrew Samolis. Back then, officers had nothing like this. It's precisely why Willimantic applied for the Department of Defense 1033 program grant to get this, and got it for free in October.
It'll be used for hostage situations, active shooter, officer down type situations.
It's also able to ford water 36 inches high, slice through walls of Connecticut snow, and the run-flat tires even have fire suppressant systems. Hopefully Willimantic doesn't have another officer-involved shooting, but while Connecticut's not exactly a war zone, we've had our fair share of serious situations where a truck like this could come in handy.
If this vehicle is never used to rescue an injured officer or civilian for its entire career life, I'm happy with that. But in the event that we needed to deploy it in that capacity, we're really happy with that we have this truck here.
We might need it. Well, you get what you prepare for, don't you? It's concerning to me that this officer thinks he might need to use this vehicle because, of course, we know that when you have something, they're going to find an excuse to use it. So this machine is going to be just one of those things that police are going to normalize. Okay, so you might get rid of one in Davis, get rid of one in Keene, New Hampshire. But you can't get rid of them everywhere, and this is something that the police are just saying, you're going to have to get used to this because there's nothing higher than officer safety. We can't do anything unreasonable, no, spending millions of dollars, no expense spared. Nothing we can do is unreasonable. You have to protect officer safety at all costs, even if there are aliens, even if there's an android, even if there's a asteroid invasion. All of these things you need to protect against because we never know what could happen to officers. So they need tanks, they need turrets, and they need castles. Why don't we build them castles next? I mean, this is what this is about, is government being more powerful than you. They need to show you who's in charge, right? And when there were tribes of people living in caves or whatever, I'm just speculating, there had to be one strong man, who didn't have to be, but there was one strong person who would show, I'm in charge, okay? And if you don't like how I run this ship, you can get out because I'm going to bust your head in. Those are the people, they still exist today, they're still among us in our tribe, but they wear badges and carry guns, and now they drive around in tanks. I'm concerned about what the direction our society is heading when these types of people have access to tanks. Okay, this is something that's really concerning, and kudos to the Davis community for kicking that thing out. I'd like to see more communities stand up and do exactly the same thing, although they don't have the teeth to say, and we're not paying for it. If that would be, that would be the real nail in the coffin. If people were like, look, police department, you have gone too far. We didn't authorize anything you do. You pepper spray our damn students. Now you've got a tank rolling in the streets that we know you're going to use for protesters. Oh, you say it's for safety, but we know what you use this for because we've seen how you act in the past. We've seen how officers acted during Occupy Wall Street. It's happening all over again, and history never rhymes, does it? So they know exactly what's going on, and the people are resisting it. Good on them. They should be. It's just a shame that Keene and Manchester and the other places where the Bearcats ended up in New Hampshire weren't able to be successful. But maybe we can follow in the footsteps of UC Davis or the Davis City Council now that there's been some success on that front. Get rid of that truck. We don't want it. Okay? We didn't pay for it. It just marched in. It can just march out, to borrow a line from Ron Paul. All right, speaking of the Bearcat and Keene, it was featured in a recent video by, I'm not exactly sure, was it Reason TV who produced this video? Take a listen.
It's never been a better time for your police department to stock up on military-grade equipment. Tons of equipment! And the Pentagon wants your department to get that equipment for free! Free! Leave the nightsticks to those pussy-ass bobbies.
All right, we'll come back with that video. When Peace News Now returns, you can call in, take control, share your stories of your Bearcat or anything you like that's peaceful resistance related. Our number is 443-424-8347 or Skype, Peace News Now. We'll see you after this trip to the free market.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
Are you looking for an excuse to come check out New Hampshire this fall? You're invited to Keenevention. Keenevention is your chance to meet dozens of key liberty activists from across the Shire. You can explore the beautiful little city of Keene, discuss various forms of activism with seasoned veterans, do some Robin Hooding, and learn about making the move. Keenevention received rave reviews last year. If you missed it, visit Keenevention.info for full video coverage of every speaker and panel. This year, Rich Paul is our first announced keynote speaker, and more are being announced now at Keenevention.info. Join old and new friends and neighbors in Keene for Keenevention this October 31st through November 2nd. You can pre-order your tickets now for just $60 at Keenevention.info, or you can pay with Bitcoin. Visit Keenevention.info for more information and to lock in your tickets at the pre-order $60 price for the whole weekend. Visit Keenevention.info for more, or look for our page and event on Facebook. That's Keenevention.info.
Instead of just listening, you can also watch. See the Liberty Radio Network's Keene, New Hampshire-based live shows via our studio cam at cam.lrn.fm. Plus, you'll still be able to listen to the Liberty Radio Network via the cam feed in high quality 24/7, even when there's no live show being produced in our Keene studio. But wait, there's more. Our chat room is built into the cam page so you can interact with other listeners online. Listen, watch, and chat, all free at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
If you want to move to the free state and you're looking for some real estate, well, I know a guy who's really great. It's the realtor Mark Warden. Do you want a home with 20 acres, a lakeside cabin, any takers for renters, buyers, and sellers too? Mark Warden is the guy for you. PorcupineRealEstate.com.
The three most important things you can do for LRN.FM are: 1. Let your friends know you're listening to LRN.FM on your social networking profile. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.lrn.fm. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same great prices, and LRN gets a cut. Please do your online shopping at shop.lrn.fm.
It's the Onion Radio News. Teen sex is linked to alcohol and drugs by the Center for Figuring Out Really Obvious Things. This is Doyle Redland reporting. An exhaustive 4-year, $23 million study of substance abuse and sexual habits of more than 2,500 American teens has confirmed that young people between the ages of 13 and 18 who drink and or use drugs are more likely to be sexually active. Dr. Gerald Eckersley is director of the Boston-based organization.
We found that this phenomenon also occurs among adults as well as every population everywhere in the world that has ever existed since the dawn of time.
The center has sent a teleprompter-ready press release of its findings to more than 400 local TV news affiliates across the U.S., along with stock video footage of beer displays and teens smoking and drinking at parties. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network. If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Welcome back to Peace News. Hey, if you enjoy this show, go to our website, PeaceNewsNow.com. There you will see a link that says Donate, and you can click that link, scan the QR code, and send me some Bitcoin. I really appreciate all you listeners who contribute to make the show possible. It's your donations who keep this show going, so thank you out there in listener land. Now let's continue with a video from Remy of Reason.tv. This one features Keene's Bearcat. Take a listen.
There's never been a better time for your police department to stock up on military-grade equipment. Tons of equipment! And the Pentagon wants your department to get that equipment for free! Free! Leave the nightsticks to those pussy-ass bobbies. Because here at the Pentagon's 1033 program, everything must go! We're talking Bearcats, tanks, grenade launchers, M16 rifles, everything! Tear gas, smoke bombs, body armor, sports utility vehicles, mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicles, everything! The airplanes, bomb-defusing robots, little to no training at all, and more trumped-up adrenaline than your body can even handle! Got some BS demonstration? Gas that thing. Got a jaywalker? Chase him down with a free helicopter. Oh, you think your town's too small for a tank? We've given tanks to Fargo, North Dakota, Story County, Iowa, and Keene, New Hampshire. Got a strawberry festival? You need a tank. Is your town having music in the park? You need a tank. Got a community theater production of 12th Night? You needed the tank, good sir. It's a free tank. We gave away $500 million in gear last year, and we're ready to give away even more. Apply to the Defense Logistics Agency at this 1-800 number below. The 1033 program, bringing local police departments military-grade equipment from our war zone to your war zone. God bless America.
Okay, I don't want my community to look like a war zone. I don't know about you. And I think it was pretty cool that Keene, New Hampshire was mentioned in this video, which was obviously a parody of Power Thirst. If you enjoyed this video, go watch the original Power Thirst. It's hilarious and from like 10 years ago now. Okay, so yeah, Keene, New Hampshire has a population of about 23,000 people, and that was the joke. He was like, your town too small? Think again. I mean, 23,000 people. And he mentioned a strawberry festival. The actual reason given on the application for the Bearcat, one of them was that there is a pumpkin festival here in Keene, New Hampshire that needs a little more monitoring than your average festival, apparently, because it requires a tank. Very concerning that the police thought that was a legitimate excuse to buy themselves a free tank with Department of Homeland Security money. And doesn't it concern anyone that they're applying to a grant from an organization called the Department of Homeland Security? I mean, it sounds a little too close to the fatherland for me. But let's encourage more cities and towns to take this tactic as City Council of Davis did in California. Here's another quote from the police chief in Davis. He says, quote, "There's legitimate need, a very obvious tactical need for this vehicle. The plan was to use the vehicle for rescues and covering officers during high-risk situations. The residents fear the vehicle could be used to quell protests, especially in light of the recent clashes between police and demonstrators in Ferguson, Missouri. In fact, one of the listeners of this program sent me a link to a picture of that UC Davis cop pepper spraying the famous image of the signing of the Constitution. So he gets all his pepper spray all over the Constitution, voiding it out. Nice little image there. Sometimes an image can speak 1,000 words. Now, the residents are afraid that the police are going to use this thing to quell protests, and they're absolutely right. Others mentioned the 2011 police response during the Occupy movement. Council members agreed to meet with the police department and work on a solution in repurposing the vehicle, and will also take a closer look at the acquisition policy. Well, that's a start. Thanks for leading the way, California. I'm very surprised to see that's the case, but hey, credit where credit's due. So Everything Must Go, great video. You can catch a link to that over at freekeene.com, where Ian posted an embedded video from reason.tv. Now we've got another video to share with you of a good activist behavior. I want to see more people doing this. A citizen gives or a submitizen, as I like to call them. But this guy is no submitizen. He is a hardcore activist who takes it to the cops with words, not fists. And he gives a taste of what police harassment feels like. Here, well, let's give a viewing of this video, and then we can critique it or comment on it. Oh no! This video's been removed because it violated YouTube's terms of service. BS! I played this video earlier on Cop Block Radio, and it does not violate any terms of service. I'm so frustrated that it doesn't play, because there's no way that it violated any terms of service. Of course, they're going to call it harassment. I had one of my Freeman TV videos was flagged and taken down as harassment because I was asking questions of an authority figure, a school principal, and he wanted me to go away, and he wanted me to take my camera off of him, and I just wouldn't do it. I was on public property recording a public official while he is working using the taxpayer's dime for his salary. And no, I'm not going to take my camera off of him. But that was considered harassment, and people went to YouTube and flagged the video, then it got taken down. This is what censorship looks like in 2014 America. I know we've got the internet and the age of information, and there's a lot more information that can be spread around than ever before, but hey, this stuff still happens. So I'll have to recap from thefreethoughtproject.com. Citizen to cop. Quote, "Sir, I'm going to need to see your license and insurance, please. I smell marijuana in your car." Cop watcher Jake D. was out conducting police officer accountability Sunday night when he came upon an Arlington, Texas police officer who was double parked. Although double parking in a private lot probably wouldn't land you any tickets, it could very well land you tons of harassment by your local police department, especially being parked there at night. The harassment could easily turn into assault with a deadly weapon and kidnapping if you had a part of illegal nature in your car. Jake D., with the Tarrant County Peaceful Streets Project, saw this opportunity to give an officer a taste of what it feels like to be shaken down when doing nothing wrong. In a classic move, he quickly rolls up on the officer and begins demanding the officer's papers, followed by an accusation of smelling marijuana, just like an officer would act towards a citizen. Jake D. even gives the Free Thought Project a shout-out during his police interrogation. Well done, Jake. Some will claim that Jake should have left this officer alone and that Jake was making the officer's job harder. It's those people who we'd like to remind that the revenue collection via arbitrary traffic laws, enforcement of laws that persecute victimless crimes, and fining, kidnapping, or killing you for a plant are the actual things that make lives harder. Being held publicly accountable by a member of the public should be welcomed by those who conduct themselves in an ethical manner. But of course, police don't. Some of the top comments on this video: completely awesome, cop running away is just incredible. He was running away. Blah, 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 LOL. Thank God Jake had a camera, or That used condom cop would have stumped the cold stone mud hole. I can't use those words. Okay, but yeah, some great top comments. A lot of people supportive of what's going on here. So if you are a person who has a video camera and you see a cop doing something wrong, maybe you should be next to turn the tables on the police. I'm not suggesting using fists or guns or weapons of any kind. Just words. And words can be weapons, can't they? Of course, police, when you couple them with cameras, the police have nowhere to run. They run like cockroaches, some people call them. They run from accountability when the light of truth is scattered upon them. What else can we glean from this video? Let's see if we can find that video of the traffic officer who was being berated by Peaceful Streets. Here it is. We've got it on Lively or on YouTube.
Sir, do you have any ID with you tonight?
What kind of ID are you looking for?
Driver's license and insurance?
No.
Well, you're double parked right now. I'm going to need to see your driver's license and insurance.
Any marijuana in the vehicle?
I think I smell marijuana. Sir, I'm going to need your license and insurance, please. You're double parked right now. He's double parked. Double parked. Sir, if this was me right now, they'd write me a ticket. I need to see your license and insurance, please. And I'm not joking.
We'll have to return to this video when Peace News Now comes back from our trip to the free market. Go out and buy stuff. Go to LRN.FM, or maybe you could go to PeaceNewsNow.com in the meantime. We'll be back with more peaceful resistance stories about what you can do to cops in your town.
What if the key to achieving liberty in your lifetime was to move together with others who think like you? Liberty activists are joining the Free State Project, which is over 70% of the way to its goal of 20,000 participants. And they're already making the move to New Hampshire. The successes are piling up and are proving the Free State Project is a real movement and no longer just a great idea. When you're planning your move, consider Keene. Keene is famous for its civil disobedience and non-cooperation, and there's plenty of political opportunity as well. From demonstrations and vigils to outreach and volunteering, there's a lot going on in Keene. Keene is the liberty media capital of the world, with television, talk radio, and more, all originating here. Though it's more than just activism, with regular social events each week. See what's happening at freekeene.com and get connected with video, audio, free books, a forum, and activist tools you can download and use in your area at freekeene.com. That's freekeene.com.
Did you know you can get news updates about what's happening with the Liberty Radio Network delivered in the way you prefer? You can sign up for our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. Plus, you can stay in the loop by joining our Facebook profile at facebook.lrn.fm or follow us at Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm. It's all free, so sign up now at updates.lrn.fm for news updates delivered to your email box, facebook.lrn.fm to follow our Facebook page, and twitter.lrn.fm to receive our tweets.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is the stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at weusecoins.com. That's weusecoins.com.
More Peace News Now is coming up next, live after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, September 2nd, 2014. Silver is trading at $19.18 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,267 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $477. Antiwar.com reports, with the fate of 44 captured UN troops from Fiji still up in the air, a major battle has erupted in the region of the Golan Heights where they are being held, as Syria's military attempts to retake territory lost to al-Qaeda's Jabhat al-Nusra. Nusra took the region along the frontier with Israel last week and captured the Fijian troops shortly thereafter, accusing them of protecting Israel. Other UN troops were attacked over the weekend but managed to escape. Qatar is said to be taking the lead in trying to secure the release of the Fijian troops, while the Nusra fighters are requesting humanitarian aid be delivered to one of its territories near Damascus. In addition, Nusra wants to be taken off the UN list of terrorist organizations and also wants compensation paid by the UN for 3 of their troops killed in one of their attacks. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com. The AP reports, McDonald's, Wendy's, and other fast food restaurants are expected to be targeted with acts of civil disobedience that could lead to arrest on Thursday as labor organizers escalate their campaign to unionize the industry's workers. Kendall Fells, an organizing director of Fast Food Forward, said workers in a couple dozen cities were trained to peacefully engage in civil disobedience ahead of this week's planned protest. Fells declined to say what exactly is in store for the protest in around 150 cities, but workers involved in the movement recently cited sit-ins as an example of strategies they could use to intensify their push for higher pay and unionization. Past protests have targeted a couple of restaurants in each city for a limited time, in many cases posing little disruption to operations. A spokesman for the Service Employees International Union, which has been spearheading the protest, said home health care aides will join the actions in some locations. The Fight for 15 campaign has gained national attention at a time when growing income disparities have become a hot political issue. President Obama renewed his push for Congress to raise the minimum wage at a Labor Day appearance in Milwaukee. The fast food campaign is designed to bring attention to hardships which few customers think about when buying burgers and fries, according to Catherine Fisk, a professor of labor law at the University of California in Irvine. Over time, she says that could help change the mindset about fast food jobs, which have historically been seen as difficult to unionize. FPP Radio News is brought to you by Roberts & Roberts Brokerage. For over 35 years, Roberts & Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They now take Bitcoin for purchasing precious metals so you can turn your profits into a long-term investment. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing. 800-874-9760. Reuters reports, Lesotho's prime minister has asked southern African states to send peacekeepers into his mountainous kingdom to restore order after an apparent coup over the weekend. Thomas Tabane fled to South Africa, which surrounds Lesotho, on Saturday, hours before the army surrounded his house and overran police stations in the capital in what the prime minister called a coup. Lesotho's army said it had not tried to oust Tabane, but had moved against the police suspected of planning to arm a political faction. One policeman was shot dead and 4 others wounded. Diplomats said the unrest stems from a power struggle between Tabane and the deputy prime minister. Tabane is supported by the police. The deputy prime minister has loyalty in the army. Tension has risen since Tabane suspended parliament in June amid feuding in the 2-year-old coalition. He has accused the deputy prime minister of orchestrating the coup. The Southern African Development Community, which includes foreign ministers from South Africa, Namibia, and Zimbabwe, met through the night with Tabane and the deputy prime minister to try to find a peaceful settlement to the crisis. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Interesting new ad campaign from Applebee's, which is encouraging customers to visit the restaurant ironically.
They're designed to attract young people to Applebee's by inviting them to ridicule its food service and atmosphere. Here, take a look.
What do you guys want to do?
We could go to Applebee's. No, let's seriously go to Applebee's. Look, guys, it's grilled.
It's just
like my neighborhood restaurant, only completely geographically not specific.
Yeah, nothing like a wild time at Applebee's, right?
Applebee's. Wouldn't it be funny to go to Applebee's? I like
Isn't that
it.
persuasive?
Yeah.
You know, they're not resting on their laurels. They're adding new menu items designed to be ridiculed outright, like the fajita cordon bleu and the chicken strip explosion.
Those sound ridiculous.
I know, but you know, so far this has been so successful that Applebee's is actually prepping a second series of ads aimed at customers who enjoy making fun of annoying young people who do things ironically.
This is the Onion News Network.
Peace News returns to LRN.FM. It's good to be with you. I'm your host, Derek J. I forgot to mention this, but you can learn all about me over at derekj.me. I've got a bunch of media that I produce. Every day of the week, there's something fresh and new. I love to cover stories of news and peaceful resistance, so that's always good to find at derekj.me. But you can also find podcasts about Bitcoin or the show Freedom Fiends that I really am enjoying hosting. It's like a irreverent comedy, Liberty 101 sort of podcast, and it's a lot of fun. I think it's fun, number one, and then info and news after. So go check it out, freedomfiends.com, derekj.me. Love to have your support there. So during the last segment, we're playing a video from the freethoughtproject.com where a member of the Peaceful Streets in Tarrant County, Texas, pulled over a member of the Austin Police Department. And I was just playing a clip from that video, but we didn't get to play the whole thing. It's really worth watching in full, and so here it is from Ustream.tv. Unfortunately, it was taken down from YouTube. But, of course, the internet has the Streisand effect, that being that when you try and take something off of the internet, it tends to explode. And there's even more. Too many heads of the Hydra. You can't get rid of them all. And here is the video from Ustream.tv. Take a listen.
Hey, check out that parking job you got. Ask him if you got any ID.
Oh, sir, do you have any ID with you tonight?
What kind of ID are you looking for?
Driver's license and insurance?
No.
Well, you're double parked right now. I'm going to need to see your driver's license and insurance.
Why doesn't he have a driver's license?
I think I smell marijuana. Sir, I'm going to need your license and insurance, please. You're double parked right now.
Is this
He's
what a
double
cop would
parked.
do? Isn't this what he would do to you?
Double parked. Sir, if this was me right now, they'd write me a ticket. I need to see your license and insurance, please. And I'm not joking.
Way to go pointing out the double standard here, Jake.
Winner.
I need license and insurance, please.
Badge number's 275.
Have you been drinking tonight, sir?
Nothing other than Dr. Pepper?
Well, you're double parked right now, so I'm going to need to see your license and insurance. I'm going to need to ask you to step out of the vehicle, sir.
I love how he talks right over the cop, too, as he's answering the question that he just asked. This is exactly what the police do. It's a tactic that they use to intimidate and take control of a situation, you know? Show you who's in charge. I ask the questions around here, and I don't even care about your answers. I'm going to ask another question while you're still answering. This is a tactic, and typically I would discourage this type of behavior towards any individual. Jake D is being very rude, but Jake D is doing street theater. This is not how, I hope, he interacts with his friends and neighbors and other members of the community. This is street theater. He's pretending to be a police officer, giving them a taste of their own medicine, and here's what happens.
Do you understand what I am saying? I'm going to need you to step out of the vehicle. You are double parked right now. You're failing to show insurance and registration and license.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate what y'all do.
Hey, no, Free Thought Liberty Project. Free Thought Project. You double parked.
Yep, and the cop runs away. And where does he go to? Up another double parked parking space.
Freaking double parked again.
Oh, you thought you got away from the kid with the camera. Oh, no.
This cop wants to park right there. There's all the parking spots.
Cockroaches will run. And then Jake and his friends are all safe. a good distance away. They chase down the cop car a little bit, but I don't know what happens after that. It looks like they get away. Looks like the cop car got away. Now, I misspoke earlier. I said that was Austin, Texas. Correction, it is Arlington, Texas. And that is the Tarrant County Cop Block Crew or Peaceful Streets Project. So definitely look them up, send them some Bitcoin, do whatever to encourage more of this behavior, because I want to see videos like this coming out every day. You know, how we've all been in those situations where the cop is strong-arming you, asking questions, and acting like you're some criminal when all you've done is have a headlight out or maybe a failure to change things using a turn signal or something. You know, you're not some hardened criminal who belongs in the prison system, but they're going to treat you like one. And then they're going to investigate how many crimes you may have committed. Oh, maybe your car smells like marijuana. Now I want to search it. Oh, you're refusing a search? You're disobeying an officer. Oh, you didn't turn your arms in behind your back fast enough? Now you're resisting arrest. All sorts of tricks that these police play, and it's time that the shoe were on the other foot. So I'm glad to see what's happening here. FreeThoughtProject.com even got a shout out. Well done. Now let's move on to a national story. Burger King is making headlines. Why? Because it's renouncing its U.S. citizenship. Now, this article from BillMoyers.com, he writes, "Time to eat somewhere else." Now, this post first appeared at the Campaign for America's Future blog, but it's worth reading to see what the other side thinks. Now, me, of course, I'm a freedom person. I don't pay taxes, at least the ones I can avoid, because I don't endorse the wars. And the wars against peaceful people at home and the wars against brown people and foreigners abroad. I don't support any of that. I don't want to be a part of it, and if I'm giving my money to these organizations, then I am a part of it. Now, the Burger King franchise is now moving to Canada to avoid paying excruciatingly high taxes. It's so painful that the prices of their burgers and fries are going to have to climb as the taxes take all their profits away. So they're moving to a place that's not as restrictive with their taxes. And look what happens. Oh, Americans are so upset. The burger's moving north. Well, Burger King. Now remember, keep in mind, as I'm reading this article, this is from the perspective of a non-freedom person. Someone who says, they should stay here and pay as high taxes as the state demands, because there's nothing greater than obeying the state. Burger King is the latest company announcing its plans to renounce its U.S. citizenship in order to dodge taxes. It plans to buy Tim Hortons and then pretend Tim Hortons bought them so they can claim to be Canadian. Tim Hortons renounced its own U.S. citizenship in 2009 and moved their headquarters from Ohio to Canada. The announcement is prompting calls like this petition you can sign, link at BillMoyers.com, by Campaign for America's Future that calls on Burger King's CEO to keep the restaurant chain American or I will dine elsewhere. Yeah, I don't think the clientele at Burger King calls what they're doing dining. Why is Burger King prosperous? Why do people feel safe eating food served at Burger King? Why do people recognize a Burger King when they see one? Why does something called Burger King with outlets across the country and the world even exist? Well, Bill Moyers is claiming Burger King didn't build that by themselves. Bullet point 1. Consumers believe Burger King's beef and other offerings are safe to eat because they know our taxpayer-funded government inspectors and regulators make sure of it. Bullet point 2. Taxpayer-funded government courts and agencies make sure that other fast food outlets can't call themselves Burger King to trick people into eating there instead. Taxpayer-funded agencies and courts also make sure that other restaurants can't call their burgers a Whopper. Well, isn't that great? How did they do all that? Oh, yeah, with violence. Bullet point number 4. Burger King's customers use taxpayer-funded roads when they drive to a local Burger King outlet. Oh, the roads! Got to use that argument. Number 5. Burger King's workers and managers were educated in taxpayer-funded schools. Well, that's an assumption, but it's pretty close to true. And is that good? Is what they're calling education really education, or is it indoctrination? Number 6. The money Burger King collects is created and regulated by the tax-funded government and is deposited in banks that are regulated by the government to be safe and trustworthy and protected by taxpayer-provided police. Number 7, Burger King's ultra-low wage employees are paid so little that they receive food stamps, Medicaid, earned income tax credits, and other taxpayer-funded government safety net services. Number 8, and finally, the government enables Burger King to be something called a corporation at all. Corporations are entirely government-created entities with special rights, privileges, and protections that are granted by the government. Well, they finally landed on one that's true. Let's talk about why corporations are bad and why they wrestle for control of the government gun on the other end of this free market break.
Liberty activists around the country are starting to realize politics alone won't set us free. So what will? At Liberty on the Rocks, we believe the answer starts with living your principles, spreading ideas, and connecting with those around you. By starting a Liberty on the Rocks network, you can make a difference by uniting libertarian thinkers. Find out how much fun it is to build your local network from the ground up. Visit libertyontherocks.org today to get started.
The Shire Free Church offers a sanctuary to those seeking an escape from state churches.
The Shire Free Church is an interfaith, diverse group of people that may not share identical theological beliefs. As a member in or minister of the Shire Free Church, you are a sovereign individual and may be the faith of your choice.
We don't claim to have all of the answers.
We are open to all peaceful people.
We want to learn from each other.
What unifies the Shire Free Church and its diverse members is peace,
love, and liberty. There are many paths to God, one for every individual.
The Shire Free Church does not define a specific path beyond those parameters that must be your foundation.
Peace as your way.
Love as your guide.
And liberty as your light.
Learn more at church.shiresociety.com.
That's church.shiresociety.com.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
Shiny badges on your jacket, shiny badges.
This is Davi Barker from ShinyBadges.com, and I just want to personally apologize for airing a jingle week after week, month after month, that turned out to be such an infectious brainworm. So to make it up to you, I'm offering a free gift. The next time you make a purchase at ShinyBadges.com, write worms in the transaction comments, and I'll send you something weird.
The 3 most important things you can do for LRN.FM are: 1. Let your friends know you're listening to LRN.FM on your social networking profile. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.lrn.fm. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm. It's my firm belief that the AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented groups. Support all your favorite organizations, but make sure you give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Badavi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Welcome back, people of the world, every boy and every girl. We're going to set this world right, you and I. We will do it by embracing peaceful methods of redress when government agents continue to use guns and force. We will continue to use words and arguments, and then we win. So let's continue with our words and arguments here. Here comes some more bad words and arguments from BillMoyers.com, where this horrendous blog post pretty much credits government with inventing air. Every single step to Burger King's success was backed and enabled up by our taxpayer-funded American system. Our government is the reason that Burger King is extremely profitable. Burger King didn't make the road that brings customers to them, that school that educates their employees, that court that protects their trademarks, that fire truck and that police car that protects their building. We, the people, did. And now Burger King wants to harvest that prosperity, take it from the country, and made them what they are and stick us with the bill for those things. But they still want us to eat their food and hand over our dollars. Is that true? Would Burger King be without any customers if not for the government? Would people be completely unable to fund themselves or find roads for themselves to travel on? I'm skeptical, but we've got a caller who has something to share. Go ahead, caller. You are on Peace News.
Hey, man.
Hey.
I'm just watching my dude right now. You know, he's talking about the police tanks must go and whatnot.
Yes.
You know, I'm gonna give a quick weigh in real fast. You know, and I'm gonna leave it at that. It would be totally different if things were actually constitutional. They're not. People constantly say it, but they got to realize, you know, the constitutional amends that whatever, you know, you stipulate for the military of the federal government, right, or the you know, powers that govern us, you know, we're supposed to have equal footing. So if they have tanks, we have tanks. If they have jets, we have jets. It'd be totally different if the people had their own. It wouldn't be a problem then.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
So would you, and do me a favor, I'd like to continue this conversation a little bit, and if you would do me the favor of just muting whatever it is you're listening to. I'm sure it's this program, but we're hearing it feed back into our own program, so if you could mute that, that'd be great. So tell us, is there a tank in your town? Do you know if your town has a Bearcat or an MRAP?
I'm sure they do, man. I'm sure they do, bro. You know, I live in Washington State, man. I live in Tacoma, Washington, bro. So, you know, Fort Lewis is out here, and, you know, McCord or JBLM, I should say. Then you got Fort Banger, right? And then you got all the stuff that goes on over in, you know, Eastern Washington and whatnot, you know, with the reserves and those guys. But pretty much, dude, like, you got to understand, man, like, they've been doing this for years. You know, this isn't brand new, you know.
When did you first hear about it?
Man, I first heard about this, bro, man, realistically, bro, like almost 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you know what I mean? It was a while ago, bro, like when I first heard about it, but I seen it firsthand, though, you know, because I seen the tank myself, you know.
In Tacoma?
Yeah, you know.
So what was it being used for?
It was like a modern tank, though, you know. I mean, you know, it was disarmed, you know, they couldn't
for now
shoot anything off of it. Yeah, obviously, but you know what I'm saying. It was disarmed, you know.
But the writing's on the wall. You and me aren't dumb. We know what they're using this thing for, and the police just won't say it. They're afraid because the people know what's up. So do you think the people in your town in Tacoma, Washington, will take the same tactic as the people of Davis, California, and say, "Get the hell out of here. We don't want your tank."
Yeah, well, you man. I mean, you know, they shouldn't be trying to implement something like that when that's not the problem. You know, the problem is you know, they're saying police tanks must go, man, but they still got to educate people. You know, when it's all said and done, fear is so powerful, right, that people will take almost any answer over no answer, and that's how it always goes. And you know, and if somebody who's in control can put a device of control upon you based upon the fear you have, then they need not worry about you ever uprising or you ever saying anything about the unfair treatment that you might be undergoing, anything of that nature.
So do you think this is aimed to be used towards Americans who are protesting, like what we saw in Occupy Wall Street?
You know what, bro? To be honest, man, I'd have to say that I believe there's a levy of issues that they really do cover. Some of them is as bizarre as being invaded by other countries.
Come on, you can't be serious. You think that the U.S. is going to be invaded? They're going to use these tanks to defend against an invasion? It fits 10 cops in it, man. What are 10 cops in a tank going to do?
Do you understand what's happening to the U.S. dollar right now, bro? In the next 10 years, I'm sure it won't be backed. It's not going to be the world currency. You feel me?
But do you think that's because other countries invade the U.S. with tanks and militaries, or because they use a strong dollar policy or a strong yuan policy or something?
No, but you got to understand though, bro. Okay, so look what's happening right now, right? You have these sympathizers, right? Who are and who knows how far down the rabbit hole all this shit goes, right? But check this out, bro. You got these sympathizers who are going over to the Middle East that they can trace, right? And whether they're going to the Middle East or whether they stayed at home all their lives and they were domesticated terrorists, the problem is that when you give credence to something, right, it gives a person a liable reason to take action. So what I'm saying is this right here is that you got guys right now that are getting caught, exploited on CNN, right, fighting these foreign, wars. And I don't mean to get off the subject of police things, but you got to understand, bro. These police things are nothing. My state just approved drones.
Your state also approved cannabis for recreational use, and the police really changed their attitudes. I saw there was a festival where police were actually handing out Doritos to stoners at a marijuana convention, and they were handing out. They were being friends.
But you got to understand, though, bro. I mean, to compare marijuana to a tank, right? You could never do the marijuana would never cause devastation or destruction.
No, of course
but maybe
not.
in the fridge. You see what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying, bro. It's
maybe in the fridge. Yeah, you're right. So what's the difference been like? Give me the boots on the ground view of what's it been like interacting with police now before and after marijuana prohibitions ended in Washington.
Well, man, you know what, bro? It's actually a shaky subject, because what's happening right now is that the good old Uncle Sam, just like always, is always trying to find a way to muscle out any middleman.
You mean the feds?
No, the feds, the states, everybody's in on it, because they get paid so much money.
All right, I'll give you the last 15 seconds.
Yeah, check me out, man. This is what I want to say, bro. Police tanks, they gotta go, right? But what's more than that, though, bro, is that people have got to be willing to actually stand up for something. You don't stand up, it doesn't matter.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you for the call. We appreciate you calling in. This is Peace News Now.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Did you know coffee is the second most absorbent crop on Earth? Most coffee at grocery stores or in chains contains banned pesticides and has a high mold content. Seriously, we're proud to partner with Camano Island Coffee Roasters to provide the best of the best coffee, BuzzBox Coffee. Try a free pound today. You cover shipping. 10% of future purchases benefit our efforts to give the gift of human freedom throughout the world. At least 100 World Vision microfinance loans. For more information, go to coffee.freetalklive.com.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way.
You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring Simon to the route.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey, who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video or audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today. You ain't gonna make. Wait a minute.
You got it right.
Whoa. Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running? Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. If you can't listen to the Liberty Radio Network's internet streams, free satellite channel, or radio affiliates, no worries. You can listen.
Check. Can you hear me?
Meow. Check.
Meow. Good to hear you, Nathan. Good to hear you meowing. We can meow at the beginning of this segment. I think that would be fun. You want to meow?
I don't know. Only if you want to.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it now that you put the bug in my head.
Okay.
All right.
It's too bad that Michael Nee doesn't take calls anymore, because I came up with an even better sign-off than annelids.
What's that?
Dragons.
Dragons? What does that have to do with worms?
A dragon is a worm.
Whoa! You just blew my mind. I never even realized dragons were worms.
Yeah, actually, WYRM
mean
is an archaic way to spell like worm. So.
Like what? I don't know. Oh, okay. Well, anyway. Isn't it kind of weird that dragons, so if they get their head chopped off, they grow a new one? Like
no, that's the Hydra.
But what about worms? Don't they grow body parts back?
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe there's a link there.
So maybe they're not dragons. Or maybe dragons aren't worms.
Anyways.
How do you know dragons are worms? All right, we're coming back in 10 seconds.
Okay.
Hold that thought.
BibleSpeech.com.
And get ready to meow.
Holland Cook.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page.
Oh, we're getting another. Oh my God! You want to share the radio with James?
Not really.
All right, here it comes. Meow. Worms. Hey, that's how we start the show on Freedom Fiends, and I was going to be meowing with my friend Nathan, who called in on the Skypes, but then a more important call came in, a caller with whom I haven't spoken in a long time because I blocked his phone number, but he called in on Skype, which means he might even sound better than normal. James from Arizona, you are on Peace News once again.
At 2, Derek J.
At 2, yes. Even me.
Blocking my number as well.
Yeah. What's that?
I'm just calling in about the closing. What I'm afraid of is the closing of the libertarian mind, and that would be you, respectfully. But thanks for taking me on.
All right. Well, I'm open to your voice now. So what you got?
Well, speaking of contradictions, and I remember not too long ago I asked you if you should have the right to have a tank and drive it down.
I said yes.
Right, but the cops aren't allowed to have one.
Right.
Okay, that to me is.
I say the cops are allowed to have one so long as I'm allowed to have one, but they have to pay for it, and I have to pay for mine.
Okay, I don't want either of you having them. That is my point.
Okay.
But it is.
What are you going to do to stop us?
Well, that's why I don't want you to have a tank, but we do have a military that can take you out if you have your own personal tank.
Well, I'm just saying either we all have equal rights, or there are some people who have more rights than others, and I'm uncomfortable with police having more rights.
I'm not here to talk about Orwell cliches, the brilliant man that he is. Again, I don't want our local police department.
It's not off topic. I mean, we all either have equal rights to have firearms and weapons, or we don't. And if police can have something and I can't, well, then that's wrong. If police can have something and don't have to pay for it, That's really wrong. You're making me pay for something I don't even endorse.
I asked you that question in the context of cops not having a tank, by the way. You said, yes, you should be allowed to have a tank, and it wasn't based on the fact that cops had it.
No, it's not. It's based on the fact that we all have the human right to self-defense. You can have whatever kind of self-defense you want.
Okay. I don't want you having a nuclear weapon either.
And probably I would have no use for one, but if my neighborhood association or my area, my geographical area, wanted to all chip in $1 and buy a nuclear weapon so that we're not attacked, I'd be okay with that.
So now you want to amend your remarks to amend your answer to me a while back that you only think you should have the right to drive a tank down the beautiful city of Keene, New Hampshire, if the cops have a tank. But if the cops don't have a tank, you don't have the right to.
No.
Okay.
That we all
then
have
it's a contradiction.
No, there's no contradiction here. It's completely consistent. What I'm saying is everyone has the right to human self-defense. All humans have that natural, innate right. It doesn't come from governments or anywhere else. Not your badge or whatever. So
we're talking about with what, though?
With your own money.
Okay.
Or money that you get somewhere legitimately. But when you're pointing guns at people and telling them, pay for my tank, that is not legitimate. And that's what the police do. That's why they shouldn't have one.
You have a right to have a tank just because you're loaded and I'm not. That's beautiful, Derek J. And I know that the beautiful citizens of Keene, New Hampshire, whether or not they want no tanks, no thanks, all those people that agree with you, the other people that do agree with you, would agree with me that they don't want Derek J. Horton having a tank either.
Yeah.
Well, that's just me, and I submit to you a super duper duper majority of your fellow citizens of the beautiful city of Keene, amongst one of them being the Keene Activist Center.
Oops, I'm sorry, James. I didn't mean to cut you off there. I just wanted to add someone to the call. Are you still there with us, James? Sorry. Oh man, I did not mean to disconnect. You were on a roll there. And if we're able to reconnect, then I'll definitely let you continue with the floor. But I apologize for cutting you off. Maybe you're able to reconnect with us. I'm not really quite sure. We'll try and do a group call with you and Nathan. That's actually what I was up to. But I guess we're going to have to wait on that. Sorry about that. So hopefully, okay, we got Nathan back on. Let's see if we can get connected with Nathan. Oh, and James is calling back in. Hey, Nathan. So what would you be saying to James right now if, in response to his claims that people don't want me riding down the street in a Bearcat?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, James says people don't want me riding down the street in a Bearcat. So why wouldn't that be a problem in a libertarian society?
Well, I'm going to take a guess and surmise that if you're such a huge, raging jerk that you're going to be riding down the street with a tank, people are probably not going to want to interact with you in any way at all. And you'll quickly find yourself, I imagine, in possession of the clothes on your back, a few ramen noodle bowls, and a tank.
Yeah, okay. So, and then what? People aren't going to cooperate with me, and then I starve to death, right?
Well, hopefully one would choose rather to not starve to death and to abandon the tank than to starve to death inside a tank. But, hey, look, North Korea, they spend a lot of money on weapons over there. The government does, and the people don't get a lot of food. And it's not a good state of affairs, but until they're willing to stand up and say, no, this is wrong, it's just going to keep going on.
Okay, so I'm going to try and do a group call with you and James. Is that consensual?
Sure. Let's try this.
Okay.
Let's do this.
All right. So we're going to avoid talking about Japan at all costs. We're just going to get that out of the way and say, James is right about everything having to do with Japan. But
okay.
But for today, we're going to keep this on topic about tanks because police tanks must go. And are you excited to see what happened in California with the Davis City Council saying they're going to get rid of their police tank?
Yeah, because it's you kind of need someone to set the precedent when you're talking about this kind of thing. If someone doesn't go first, then it's going to be hard for other city councils to do the same thing.
Yeah, and it's a shame that this wasn't a success in Keene, New Hampshire, where we sort of got the ball rolling in 2011 with Thanks But No Tanks. There was a website dedicated to that. Unfortunately, by now it's expired. It would be nice to have a record of the things that we accomplished here in Keene, putting out propaganda and filling the seats in city council to the point where they had to be regulated by a fire marshal. So it's very, very concerning. What else? What else is on your mind tonight, Nathan?
Well, I wanted to chime in about the whole Stefan Molyneux thing. Just to add a little,
still?
No, just a little addendum.
Come on, Stefan Molyneux thing is over. We talked about that all last week. So you still got some juicy
there
bits?
There was one minor thing that came up.
All right, what is it?
Michael. Sorry.
What is it?
Well, Michael mentioned a thread that had been closed on the Free Domain Radio website where people were questioning whether the takedown was legitimate or not. And I don't know if I couldn't find that thread, but there is a thread on there called Because People Have Asked, and I perused it a little bit, and the people in the thread don't seem to be all Steph bots. There seems to be some genuine discussion in it. So
okay, are you a member of Free Domain Radio?
I am not.
Okay, so you're an imposter. Are you even allowed on the forums? If you don't,
you're allowed to read the forums, but you're not allowed to contribute unless you've registered with the Free Domain Radio website.
And given money, or just register?
No, you can just register, but then next to your avatar, it shows whether you're a bronze, silver, gold, or Philosopher King donator.
Oh, wow, okay, so whether or not to believe you based on how much money you contribute. All right, well, this has been fun. I'm going to let James have the final minute of the show, or the final minute of this segment. So, thank you very much, Nathan. Talk to you soon. All right, let's take this call from James in Arizona. Sorry about that, James. I honestly was not trying to cut you off earlier.
I don't care. I'm not worried about it.
All right, so you're back on.
I appreciate you unblocking my number since you're the one that gave yours out, and I returned the request for callers. Anyway, but I'm calling on Skype instead.
I appreciate that.
From what I feel like I'm lost in time and space, but I would like to respond to Nate's what I did hear him say.
Okay.
I think it was a little bit in the past. I didn't say anything about you being raging or anything like that. I used no such adjectives when I was asking you if you have a right to a tank, which you said you do. And I say that in a civilized society like Keenevention,
last 10 seconds. Go ahead.
You don't have. Well.
Okay, if you can't wrap it up in 10 seconds, I will hold you over, and we will come back on the other end. I appreciate your thoughts. I'm not cutting you off. It's just the clock. This is Peace News. We'll be right back.
Ross Ulbricht was arrested by the...
Okay, so I just muted the ads. We are still live over YouTube. If you'd like to share your thoughts now, you can do that.
Nate, can you hear me?
No, he is not connected in this call.
Oh, I should like to stick to the subject. Keene, New Hampshire, not North Korea, which ironically, in North Korea, you don't even have a right to bear arms of any kind. Only the Army does. And I'm not afraid of the Army that is heavily militarized in the United States of America and has many tanks, and they're not rolling down the beautiful city of Keene, New Hampshire, are they? Putting their tanks at anybody, are they?
We should count our blessings for that. You know, you might like to know that I shared that statistic that you shared with me on the show earlier. My dad asked me while I was visiting over the weekend, what is something you learned doing your program? And something that I shared with him was that you brought up that the U.S. doesn't have the biggest prison population in the world. In fact, that would be North Korea with 23 million. And I thought that was a poignant remark and one worth remembering. So I shared that with him.
And don't ever forget, on the other side of the 38th parallel on the south side, there are 30,000 American troops that have been there since my dad left and came back to America and married my mom in 1955. And guess what?
And they're keeping South Korea free, aren't they?
South Korea is one of the coolest places on earth you could ever go to visit.
What would South Korea do without your dad and those troops?
They would have been overrun by... They would have been overrun by...
They'd be living in caves, right? Without the Americans coming in and being the police of the world, oh my gosh, the whole world would be in chaos.
By the way, Derek J., I know you don't remember this, but why would you even know? It was a United Nations operation led by the United States of America, of course, because we were the world's...
Who cares?
Who cares?
Yeah.
You don't... That's fascinating. Then why did you bring up, by the way, why did you bring up again the ISIS thing at the beginning of your show?
Because it's news.
Okay, so it's okay to opine about it, but then you don't really care about them anyway. So why even talk about it? Why not just talk about Keene, New Hampshire then?
I think my listeners care. I have a good pulse for what people like to listen to.
Okay, so you can talk about it, but then when I challenge you about what to do about it, you say who cares? And by the way, your response.
You didn't challenge me about what to do about it.
Yes, I did.
When?
I asked you what would you do about ISIS.
Oh, right, and I said it's none of my business.
Right, which is not an answer. And then you went on to, well, if they all believed in peaceful talk and an eye for an eye just leads the world to be all blind.
Yeah.
See, that's Pollyannish, progressive, pipe-smoking, dope idiocy, literally. It doesn't do anybody that's...
now you're just calling names. That's not an argument.
I don't need to call...
That's not an argument.
I didn't call you a name. I labeled your argument as a pipe dream, and it is. You're projecting like all good progressives do. They have this mythical...
This is weak. This is not an argument. Make an argument.
I'm talking about your argument, which is weak.
You're just calling it names. That's not an argument. Calling an argument weak is not an argument.
You just said it's weak, and now when I use it's weak, it's not an argument. Okay.
I'm just pointing out that it's not an argument to say that argument's weak. Okay.
Okay. Not that you're aware of, speaking of ISIS, Derek J. Not that you care, even though you brought up ISIS. Like 500,000 people have fled their homes in Iraq since ISIS, men in black, moved into town, hordes of invaders.
Yeah.
That are... so the brown people are that you call them, I don't, that are entirely familiar with such counterculture clubbers, may I say, Derek J?
15 seconds till we come back.
So-called peaceful resistance to barbarians only gets you killed, literally. If you go, hey, dude, now you're going to get killed by a guy dressed in black with eye slits and an AK-47. You're going to get whacked.
We're back. Welcome back. This is the final segment of Peace News. We're live. We're taking your calls. There's still time if you make them now. 443-424-8347 is our call-in line. It spells out hi-fi civ dis, as in civil disobedience. We've talked a lot tonight about stories of peaceful resistance, including Burger King renouncing its U.S. citizenship to save money on the tax extortion that it faces, plus a man treating a cop like cops treat others. The video from Reason.tv, Everything Must Go, featuring Keene's very own Bearcat, and the city council in Davis, California, which has ordered its police department to get rid of an MRAP, plus another beheading, and James Cleveland to head the Keynote convention of Keenevention. And on the line, we have a very special caller who we haven't heard from in a while because I blocked his calls, but we're going to let him finish his thoughts, and then we'll return to the very important peaceful resistance news that we've got to share with you. James, go ahead. What's on your mind?
Nathan, I wasn't objecting to Derek J. not having a right to drive a tank down the lovely main street of beautiful city of Keene, New Hampshire, because he was maybe because he's raging against the machine. I'm not worried about that. Just as I don't know what North Korea has to do with the conversation about one having the right to bear a tank in the beautiful city of Keene, New Hampshire. Can you help me out with those comments?
I'm afraid Nathan is not on the line with us. I would love for us to have some crosstalk, but I don't have that.
Okay, then it's as much commentary it is as a question to him, what you said about on the air.
Sure.
Because I don't know where North Korea came into this conversation. And I wanted to ask about, again, the person, the Keene Activities Center Person of the Year, James Cleveland.
Yes.
May I remind you, mocked my argument that he might get shot that one night at the stakeout because
he
said he said the house was surrounded by a SWAT team and they even had a Bearcat. So what a fool am I to think that he would get shot because the cops are armed and they have a Bearcat.
I don't think he was saying that it was unreasonable to think he might be shot. I think he was saying he doesn't care, that he is willing to take that risk as a member of the media. He thinks it's important enough to get that video.
Very good of you to remember that keen part of his argument. But the fact of the matter is that if the cops, he did get shot, He may not care if he was dead and gone, but there'd be plenty of other people that would.
Yep.
And Keene, the lovely city of Keene, New Hampshire, and the taxpayers and the state taxpayers
What about him?
will be the ones having to pay the
For
bill
what?
for him to
For a funeral? Get real. No, he takes full responsibility for his own actions. He said that in the episode, and he said that day. It's all on video.
Very good. But if he were dead and gone, what he takes full responsibility for doesn't matter anymore.
For paying for his own funeral, he can afford it. I appreciate your concern for James, but he's just fine without your help and without the taxpayers of Keene footing the bill for anything he does. In fact, he's able to produce a lot for the city of Keene, and unfortunately, now he's starting a business that's probably going to benefit Keene as well. I'm happy about it. More Free Staters starting businesses is what I want to see, and people treating each other with kindness. So, all right, I appreciate the calls. You can still dial in 443-424-8347 or Skype. Send a contact request to PeaceNewsNow. It'll be accepted, and then we'll put you on the air. So let's continue. We've covered the Burger King thing, and I don't want to beat that horse to death because it was pretty painful to read that article from BillMoyers.com where he's basically taking the state's side in everything, saying that the state produces everything in the world, and without them we'd all be lost little children. Forgetting, of course, that the state is just made up of people, of course, and without the state as an organization, it would just be those people still doing the same old stuff, building roads and schools and organizations, but no, people just can't exercise their imagination to that level. Now, there's a couple other stories that are concerning, and I'm realizing, looking at the clock, that we're not going to have time to hit all of them, but I want to just introduce a couple of them, so you can check the show notes at derekj.me and PeaceNewsNow.com if you're listening to this article later on. The tactics of the bit license, brilliant article at bitcoin.bombs.com, written by Julia Torianskaya. And she writes what's really going on behind the bit license. Plus, a U.S. embassy in Tripoli has been overtaken by Libyan militants. This one has a quick video I'll play for you in just a moment. And finally, American propaganda, an FBI radio public service of propaganda. Yeah, and you're paying for it. But here's a clip of the Libyan militia group overtaking the U.S. embassy in Tripoli. Have a listen. This is from ABC News.
Good afternoon. I'm Rebecca Jarvis at ABC News World Headquarters in New York with an ABC News digital report. And here are the developing stories we're watching right now. A Libyan Islamist militia group has taken control of the U.S. Embassy in Tripoli. And we're seeing some of those images tonight from the facility. Some of the men inside the compound even playing in a pool. The facility was evacuated last month as fighting between rival militia groups intensified, but no American personnel are there. San Francisco 49ers player Ray McDonald could be facing a 6-game suspension. The 29-year-old defensive tackle was arrested on domestic violence charges in San Jose. McDonald is the first NFL player arrested since the league adopted harsher penalties for members involved in assault and domestic violence cases. Comedian Joan Rivers remains unconscious at a New York City hospital. And
then she's moving on to other news stories. Yes, of course, I'm very concerned about Joan and Melissa Rivers, but the real meat of the story was what? A Libyan militia group took control of a U.S. embassy, and this is just some blurb. Next, we're going to talk about Fashion Runway. I mean, seriously? Things are effed up. That's from ABC News. All right, let's continue with the final stories here. We've got, locusts swarmed in Madagascar's capital, like one of the plagues of Egypt. That was concerning. But let's go to vigilantvote.com, where Joe Jarvis has written a brilliant blog post about real-world American propaganda. I mean, this is really happening. We always hear about propaganda from the Soviet Union or from those other countries, right? But never our own. Not good old US of A. But did you know that the FBI creates broadcasts that mimic news reports and disseminates them via ABC News, iTunes, and other internet media? According to the Daily Signal, these reports often do not clearly identify the broadcast as a government-issued broadcast. that has been made with tax dollars, and paints the FBI in a positive light. The reports are surrounded by similar-sounding segments that are not U.S. government-made propaganda. Here's a quote from the article. With public agencies in the quasi-news business, should their products also carry a disclosure to avoid the same confusion? Should they clearly tell listeners that the message is generated using their tax dollars? The only thing we're promoting is public awareness. So, no, I don't think there's a need for a label, the FBI told me. Quote, within each program, the narrator clearly identifies herself as an FBI employee, and the programs are found on official FBI sites and pages. In fact, in the August 15th story on FBI This Week, the narrator doesn't clearly identify herself as an FBI employee. Oh, looks like the FBI lied. The segment follows a typical news format where the reporter signs off from the location of the assignment and the title of the feature. But to those who are listening closely, the positive message is the clue that it's a government sponsor. So this got Joe Jarvis thinking, he writes. If this is the propaganda we know about, what are we hearing from non-government sources that is actually indeed just propaganda? The fact that the U.S. government feeds U.S. citizens bulk lies is not controversial. Operation Mockingbird is a documented government program that had thousands of mainstream journalists on U.S. government pay since 1953 and included publications like The Washington Post, Time Magazine, People Magazine, and Newsweek. Just recently, documents show that the U.S. government currently seeks to influence public opinion via social media, with paid trolls to comment on news articles and insert their ideas or misinformation or just confusion into Facebook and Twitter. To what extent are we influenced by lies useful for and propagated by the U.S. government? What if the propaganda was so bad that facts about countries like North Korea, Iran, and Cuba were not really facts? I don't think it actually goes that deep, but it does make me wonder. So, with little travel to these three countries by Americans, it's conceivable that certain misconceptions could be easily construed by our own government, posing as media. But as always, the bottom line is, never trust the government. This is Peace News. We'll see you Sunday.
This alert just came in. This special announcement is for business owners and leaders of organizations who've been waiting for the right time to build. General Steel has made it impossible to wait any longer with rock-bottom prices that could save you thousands. That's right, General Steel, America's leader in pre-engineered structures, is offering buildings at prices you will never see again. Don't miss these prices. A 50 by 100 for under $30,000. You heard right. That's 5,000 square feet under $30,000. Manufacturers, if you need a larger building, try a 100 by 100 commercial building for $129,000. You can't afford to rent with these prices. Imagine a 70 by 100-foot church building for under $69,000. With the economy improving and interest rates still at historic lows, you can't afford to wait.
Call 800-917-8251. 800-917-8251. 800-917-8251.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
Hi, this is Michael Dean from the Freedom Themes radio show. The internet has lowered the cost barrier for a worldwide radio show to a price approaching zero. Yet there is one arena where you still need thousands of dollars to approach the audio quality of the corporate media. Doing a live spoken show with more than one host in different geographic locations. Our program, Theme Phone, will solve that problem, and it will be given away